Hi, welcome to Nino Mondo. Today, we are going to take you through what's available in our Small Wonder Learning Bundle. A Small Wonder Learning Bundle is timed to coincide with the first birthday of your child. And talking about the backstory about how we named this bundle a Small Wonder, it is because by now your child is doing a lot of wonderful activities. They're probably walking and toddling along and making all these cute sounds and babbling along, and it just feels wonderful to see this little life that you brought to life a year ago is doing so many things, and it does feel like a miracle. So that's the reason why it's called a Small Wonder. About the Montessori activities that are available in this bundle, they layer up upon the activities which are there in our previous bundles. But if you've not purchased them, that's perfectly okay, because these are timed in a way that a 1-year-old child would be able to do them with a little bit of struggle, but they would be able to get them. So it's perfectly fine if you've not bought them, or if you've chosen to skip one of the bundles, that's also all right. Your child would be able to play with all of these activities from get-go. As usual, we recommend that you present these activities one at a time and not give them all at one shot. The first of these activities is our multi-shape puzzle. So our Million Dreams bundle, timed at around 6 months of development stage, had just the first shapes, and they were single shape puzzles. Then the next bundle, which is our Marvel to Behold bundle, had the progression of the single shapes. This is where we introduce multiple shapes, which is the circle, the square, the rectangle, the triangle, as well as the ovoid. Again, this is an object fitting activity. It teaches control of error because unlike the single shape puzzle progression, which had the same shape, this has different shapes. So an ovoid won't fit in a triangle, a square won't fit in a rectangle, and a circle won't fit in an ovoid. So it helps to understand the geometric shapes, but also creates that additional challenge about trying to find the right inset for the right shape. Your child will start with deconstructing the activity and allow them to struggle to find the right shape. This is also an early introduction to various geometric concepts. So if this is the first time your child is seeing these shapes, this is a good activity to introduce them. It helps to build language, because this is the time your child is going through the sensorial sensitive period of language burst, so you can explain them. Circle, or rather you can say blue circle, yellow triangle, red rectangle, green square, red ovoid. So these are single words, and they're easy to pick. Then in this bundle, we have something called as a horizontal dowel. So our Million Dreams bundle has the simple stacker, which had big rings and it was easier to put. So by now, if you have that bundle, your child would have mastered that activity. And would have probably mastered the next complex stacker as well. This brings in the added challenge because your child cannot put in the vertical dowel. They have to put it in the horizontal dowel. Yes, your child could tilt it and then put it, but they would realize that that's not a pleasing activity. There is an imbalance, and eventually and slowly they will realize that this is how the activity needs to be put. This also requires them to balance it. They might feel that they need to put their other hand and put the rings. That's perfectly all right. Again, start with deconstructing the activity, should you like, and then show them how to put it one by one. This bundle also brings in the early introduction to STEM. This is a very good part-time toy. It's a big dropper, and you would be able to use this in a lot of science-related activities. But we recommend that you start this activity during bath time. When they're in the bath, they can squeeze. It's a very good exercise for their fingers and palm and their wrist when they have to squeeze it. It doesn't make a sound. So when they put it in the water, they will realize that the water is sucked into the vacuum, and that in itself is an aha moment for them as to my action is leading for the water to come inside or get released from the tube. There are a lot of DIY activities available with baking soda and vinegar, which you can find it on internet, but this is a very good early introduction to STEM, good exercise for hands, and good learning for cause and effect. The next in our bundle is a combination of posting activity as well as object permanence, plus the introduction of concrete shapes. So if your child does not have our previous bundles and has not been introduced to the blocks, that's fine too. This is a posting activity which has these insets, and your child has to figure out how to put the shape. We recommend that they start with one shape at a time, so do not bring this out till the time your child has mastered one shape. So your child has to take the shape, figure out where it is, and then put it in. It's not going to come out on their own. They have to pull the drawer out to take the shape out. When they have done this repeatedly, we recommend that you go to the other shapes. So there is a triangle, a cylinder, a rectangle, and a square. When they have mastered the single shapes, you can introduce double shapes, the double shapes insert to bring in an added challenge. So here they have to put the cylinder as well as the square. You can actually give all the 4 shapes for them to really figure out which shape will go inside the inset. And when they have mastered the second inset is when we introduce the third and the fourth. So this is actually a prolonged activity, and your child can play with these for a really long time. Again, it is an exercise for your wrist and hands. It helps to support the novice shape where the child is holding it like this. So that is an encouragement of how they're going to hold the pencil in later years during their school life. One of the important things of this particular activity is the concrete shapes. If you have been to a regular schools, this is not really a part of the curriculum where when a child starts kinder, they're not exposed to concrete shapes. They just see it on paper, and exposure to concrete shapes before they see it in an abstract form on a textbook or a drawing. The child cannot understand what's really going on when they see things in a 2D form. But if your child has been exposed to concrete shapes, they know that even though I'm seeing just the surface, there is another dimension to it. Now these are really profound concepts which Montessori is able to explain in a very simple manner, which is just by allowing the child to touch and feel the shape. Again, when you see this cube, if you see it on paper, all you see is the one dimension or probably 2 dimensions. But if your child has been exposed to a cube where a child has seen it in its full form, dimension and beauty, they know that there is another dimension to this shape they're seeing on paper, which is an extremely important learning, probably available if they've been through a Montessori curriculum. Another very interesting activity in our Small Wonder Bundle is the scoop and transfer activity. This is a typical classic Montessori activity where children just pick things and put it, or when they're ready they'll use a spoon and then they'll scoop and put it. Now, this tray helps to contain things, so if there's any spillage, that's fine. One of the benefits of doing a transfer activity, whether it is pouring from a previous bundle or transferring activity, is it helps children to understand limitations. It helps to understand what happens when they exceed the limitation that has been provided. So if you're giving them too many, if they keep pouring for too long and if there are too many things, they need to realize how much to put, when to stop, how much is enough, have I put in less, can I put in a little bit more, and it is an activity which really engages the child for long, so they're focusing, and there is this entire hand and wrist movement where they're taking things from one and putting into another. that slow movement of hands builds grace and finesse in their actions and movements. So while this looks like a very simple activity, the amount of learning and development that comes from this is really profound. And the whole journey of where they are picking just the balls, or where they're picking things and moving from one bowl to another, to actually using a spoon to scoop and transfer is quite a struggle for the child. And when the child really masters it, it's a proud moment for parents also, where they have seen that journey of the child progressing to it. So a small activity but a long term. Then we have one of our child favorites, which is a ball tracker. And this ball tracker encourages play, and children play with it for really long hours. So they have to put the ball on top, and then they have to wait. That entire movement of balls from left to right trains the child to read from left to right, which is how we read. So it's a training for learning when they go to preschool or their kinder. So a child has to wait. They have to predict outcome. Now, predicting outcomes is an important skill. They have to really be patient for the ball to come down. They realize gravity, because the ball is only going to travel from top to bottom and not vice versa. If they stop a ball midway, they realize that it's not going to come till the end. So that in itself is a lesson. They learn the concept of speed as to how quickly can I put the balls, or how slowly can I put the balls for them to roll down. Also, it involves a lot of movement where the child has to get up and come down when they're putting the balls. So that's a very interesting activity for the children, and they are at it for really long hours. Like whenever I bring this out in my household, my 4-year-old and my 7-year-old daughter would play with this. So it is an extremely interesting activity. And that's it for the activities in our Small Wonder Bundle. We hope you enjoyed this as much as we do. Thanks for watching.